Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to a somewhat overdue pickups video. It's been a little bit since I made one and I didn't do one right away because I didn't pick up much, and then I kind of got a lot of stuff. So lots to go over. Let's just dive right in. I will start with I guess a pretty big haul of stuff that I picked up here several weeks ago when I was out traveling. Yeah. I managed to pick up a new Game Boy game that I didn't have, surprisingly, and that is Disney's Mulan. Don't know why, I guess I just never see it in the wild. Thankfully it wasn't very expensive. Also grabbed an Atari 2600 game, Wizard of War, that I didn't have. And got a few PSP games. And this is all from a trip that I took about 6 hours away from where I live. I went down for a concert and took a little bit of extra time to run around with a buddy. And so I got this stuff across, what, 4 different stores, I think. And so I got Real Fishing, The Great Outdoors, Lego Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. This is Diner Dash, Sizzle and Serve. And these all have manuals. You can tell when you shake them. NBA 06, which I think was the only one I didn't have, the only NBA game on the PSP. Bakugan, Defenders of the Core. 2K Sports, Major League Baseball 2K7, and this might also be the last of the 2K MLB games that I needed. Over the Hedge, Hammy Goes Nuts. And that's all the PSP. While I was out during that trip, it was actually sort of on the trip, but sort of not. I went and got together with family and went and saw the Dune movie. And anyway, while I was waiting to get together with the family, I stopped over at a GameStop and I picked up a game almost exactly on the 7th anniversary of the release of the Switch, and the weekend right after the Switch released, the 2 physical games that I bought for the Switch were The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Bomberman R. So why not celebrate the anniversary of the console with Super Bomberman R2, right? So I picked that up at GameStop while waiting to meet up with family to go see the movie. And then while at that same store, I picked up some PlayStation 4 stuff, including the Doom Slayers collection, which has the 2016 remake of Doom, and then the first 3 games, although the first 3 games are digital downloads, and I think this has probably already been redeemed, but that's alright. Also got The Last Guardian and Darksiders Genesis, so now I have all the Darksiders games in some form. And then back on my trip, I got The Darkness for PS3. It's one that I just apparently didn't have. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life for PS4. I got FIFA Soccer 13 for Wii U. And I did buy another Wii U game, which was the Kung Fu Panda game, but I think the store made a mistake. When I got home the next day, and of course 6 hours away, I realized there was no disc in the case. So if anyone has a disc-only copy of the Kung Fu Panda game for Wii U that they would be willing to let go, let me know. I also picked up at one location some 360 stuff. America's Army True Soldier. I didn't realize this got a 360 release. I have the America's Army game on the original Xbox, but cool to find out that this was actually a thing. Also, Lost Planet 2. BlazBlue, Calamity Trigger. And Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. I've got the base Dead Rising 2 release, but didn't have this yet. And then these I found at a pawn shop that I went to, again, kind of at the beginning of my trip while I was waiting to meet up with family. And that is some Xbox official Xbox magazine demo discs. So this is demo disc 5, 6, Gun Valkyrie demo there, 7 with Dead or Alive 3, which is kind of funny because Dead or Alive 3 was a launch title for the original Xbox. So I'm not sure why they would wait until 7 to include that. And then disc 10 with Time Splitters 2. These are always fun to find in the wild, and so I picked those up. I've got a bunch of other ones that are in slimline cases, but these, of course, are in the full DVD size case. Next, let's go to another bag full of stuff that I picked up between a pawn shop and a game store. This was kind of an accidental pickup. I was thinking that it was the Dreamcast version, but it's not. It's Tomb Raider Chronicles, and it's actually the PC version. And so I have the PC version of Tomb Raider Chronicles, but it is 2 discs, and yeah, not sure what I'll be able to do with it. Although sometimes if you own the game, you can redeem it somehow on either GOG or Steam. I'm not 100% sure, so maybe I'll try and do that. Also picked up an Xbox 360 copy of Thief and a copy of Wii Fit U. I do have a balance board. I do not yet have the fit meter, which I still need to find somewhere, but this was one that I had yet to add to the collection. And then at the pawn shop, they had some extra Wii, I'm not even sure what you call these things, sleeves, Wiimote sleeves. 3 standard ones, and then this one that is the extended length sleeve that allows for a standard Wiimote with the Wii Motion Plus accessory in the base here. And so that's nice to have, because I think I have at least one of those Wii Motion Plus dongles. I also found this, which I've been informed, this is a ColecoVision controller, but I've been informed that this is actually a controller for an aftermarket ColecoVision system, that it doesn't actually work with the original hardware. That's kind of a bummer, but it was still a fun find because it's a ColecoVision controller that doesn't feel like complete garbage to use. But anyway, interesting all the same. And then this was a fun find. This is a pair of pieces that go together, and this is a Tetris game, 2-player Tetris game. And so you've got these 2 different pieces, and of course you move stuff around with this stick, and then I think you press in as your button for for rotating the pieces. Oh no, it shows actually right here. You rotate left and right by turning this, and then you move it, and then maybe the press is the drop, that or down is drop, but oh no, it looks, there's a little arrow here, so that I guess tells me that's drop. I don't know if pressing does anything, but anyway, you plug this guy into the top of this piece here, like so. And of course, it's a lengthy cable that's all wound up, and then you've got a relatively lengthy cable with just a composite video and a single mono audio, and then you hook that up to your CRT and do that. So I don't know if I'm going to hold on to this. I have a friend who's really into Tetris and is collecting some Tetris stuff, so I may send this his way and you know, give this to a good home. But it was kind of a fun find anyway, and I got that at a pawn shop I go to pretty frequently. Another trip to the game store, or a couple of game stores, when I was out doing some stuff a few weeks ago, and another Game Boy game that I didn't have, a random common one, is Jack Nicklaus Golf. And I don't know why, but I just never see it in the wild. So that was nice to stumble on. Also grabbed, let me open this up here, Super Monaco GP for the Game Gear. And of course I always like finding the games with the plastic cases. In addition to that, I got Pariah for the original Xbox, which I see this one everywhere, but I rarely ever see it with the manual or in reasonable shape. So that was a good buy for what little I paid. Also got Call of Juarez for the 360. Call of Juarez Bound in Blood for the 360. Inversion, which I guess is kind of funny how they inverted the cover art for the game Inversion. And so that was, of course, 360. And this was a fun find. I almost didn't buy it because I tend to like to get manuals for my PS3 and 360 stuff, but everything I saw online indicated that maybe this game actually didn't come with a manual, so I went ahead and picked it up, and that is Earth Defense Force 2025. Now I will move on and talk about some hardware. Someone in one of the Discord servers that I frequent hooked me up with this. This is a Model 1 Sega Mega Drive. This is a Japanese NTSC Mega Drive, and it has a switchless region mod. And so when you power the console on, if you hold the reset button down, it will switch regions so that I could play North American games on this system. Otherwise, if I just boot it up regular, it'll play Japanese games. I don't have a place for this in my setup yet, but I'm thinking I may switch out my OG Sega Genesis that I have, that I bought when I was 14, with this, just so that I can play other games and be able to do that. Because now I'm at the point where I've got 2 or 3 Japanese releases in my collection over here, and I do plan on getting more at some point. So I'd like to make sure that I can utilize those in my setup. Plus, this console is quite clean, and I'm pretty happy with how this looks and the condition that it's in. So yeah, very happy to have that. and thanks to Apollo Boy for hooking me up with that. Speaking of Sega Genesis, let's go with a couple of Sega Genesis games. These are the Retrobit re-releases, the licensed repros. We have El Viento and Soldis, which of course is the cartridge version of the game Soul Feast that was a launch title for the Sega CD hardware in North America, and actually was the pack-in. And it's sitting over here on my on the shelf down below that you can't see. It's on this shelf with the Sega Genesis stuff, but it's in the bottom where the camera doesn't quite go. There's a sticker here on the back I want to make sure and preserve, so I got to be careful how I do this. I'm going to separate the plastic in a way that allows me to, keep this separate. I'll go ahead and tear that out, and then I'll have to break out the scissors later, but I definitely want to make sure I hold on to that because I'm a nerd, and that's what I do. So here we have the front of the box there, and of course, like the other Retrobit Sega Genesis releases, it does have the nice slip cover and Japanese style box art there. And I guess let's see if this is, I'm assuming this is a reversible cover, but yes, it is in fact a reversible cover. So if I want to, I can switch it out for the equivalent North American style release. I like both, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it in the Japanese style art for now, just because. Oh boy, this is always a little dicey when I pull these pieces out. Make sure I don't damage it. There we go. Okay, this comes with a certificate of authenticity. I have 1,146 out of 3,000. And then I've got the inside contents here. We have a couple of things. We have our instruction manual, naturally. Nice glossy manual there. And it is full color. So good stuff there. There's also this poster, which again has the Japanese cover on the one side, and then the American box art design on the other. Nice matte finish on this. Kind of a thick stock, so that's a real good quality. And then of course the cartridge itself, which is this fun translucent kind of smoky gray. With this flex in it to sort of give it the Starfield effect. I'm not a huge fan of Soul Feast, but it is a solid game and has a surprisingly good soundtrack. And the chiptune version of the soundtrack is also surprisingly good for what it is, and so it's a pretty good rendition of the music that was in the CD original. So when we cover this on the podcast, it'll be interesting to play both and compare them during the course of the month. I already know I like the CD soundtrack, but I will definitely need to spend a bit more time with the chiptune version. So that is Soldis, the Retrobit version. And then we have El Viento, of course. And once again, there's the big sticker on the back there, so I want to make sure and be careful how I break into this so I can get that sticker out and preserve that. Let's see here. Do this without making too much of a mess. There we go. Let's set that down here and cut that up with some scissors later. So there we go. There's Annette Futatabi on the front there, and I'm assuming that this is the antagonist on the back. I'm not that familiar with this game. It was one of those that was always kind of out there, and I was aware of it because of magazines, but was not one that I really ever saw much. Once again, it's a reversible cover, and it does have the original ridiculous US box art, which I appreciate. Again, we have a certificate of authenticity, and apparently this one sold very well. This is 3,305 of 3,400, so I kind of got my order in under the wire. Once again, full color manual, nice glossy finish, and so that'll be fun to kind of go through. And the cartridge is a nice see-through translucent pink with the little bit of a silver finish in the shadow of the logo. And like the other releases, this has the slightly beveled edges, so they're a little bit easier to insert and remove from the console. And so there you go, a couple of Sega Genesis releases. Glad to have this one because I think it's probably a better game than some people give it credit for, and the original release is rather expensive at this point. All the renovation games are anymore, so it's good to have it. The most recent thing that I picked up, which was just over the weekend, was a couple things. At Goodwill, I grabbed this PC version of Commandos 3. This is a Windows 98 2nd edition 2000 and XP. So yeah, this is from 2003. I don't know, again, this was kind of just fun on a whim thing because it's complete, has the manual, and all three of the discs. So I just sort of grabbed it because, you know, fun to have. You don't see PC stuff that much anymore. And I figured, why not? I also went to the game store and grabbed a Sega Saturn game I didn't have, and that is Solar Eclipse. And I was kind of surprised to see, I didn't realize that this was a Saturn exclusive. I thought maybe this would also have been on the 3DO or the PlayStation, but no, as far as I can tell, maybe this was only on the Saturn from Crystal Dynamics. So we'll give that a try. And now moving on to some stuff that I got from Play Asia. We got Devil Engine Complete Edition. And the nice thing about this Japanese release of the game is that not only does it come with the Devil Engine game with the additional mode, but it also has a bonus and is packed in with the game Shenandoah 1993, which is a Switch port that came out digitally a couple of years ago. That is a modern port of an Amiga game. And so there's the outside and the inside. It does come with this little download card, which is a copy of the soundtrack. The soundtrack is part of the contention with this release because the Devil Engine itself has been fraught with all sorts of licensing problems, and there are some people who probably don't think that paying money for this game at this point is a good idea, because some of the people involved may or may not have ever been compensated for their work. But as a physical game collector and someone who wants to have all this stuff, you know, I wanted to have it in some form, so I picked this up. Also got Trouble Witches Episode 1, Daughters of Amalgam, which is a mouthful. So we'll go ahead and open this one up and show you what we got going on here. This is, of course, a new version of a game that's been out for a while on PC and 360. There's the inside, and has a large cast of characters in a lot of different, so kind of a varied play style. But interesting Danmaku horizontal shooter with a bullet canceling and capture kind of system to it. So interesting stuff. We have the updated port of Shikigami no Shiro 2 from Cosmomachia. This unfortunately does not have the this is the Japanese release, and none of the modern releases, the Steam or digital console releases, has the legendary, now legendary, PlayStation 2 North American audio with the hilariously bad translation and voice acting. Of course, that someone has figured out how to mod the Steam version to add that back in. So I'll probably do that at some point when I play the game for the podcast. Speaking of Cosmomachia, this is also the release of Trigger Heart Excelica, which is relatively recent. Always good to see these games continue to have a life. This one, of course, was on the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2, and then later got a release on the 360, which has since been pulled. And nice reversible cover as well. So if you just want art and not screenshots, you can go with that. Finally picked up the Zero Fire compilation from M2. This, of course, being the Shot Triggers Toaplan Arcade Garage release from M2, their most recent, which combines Zero Wing and Hellfire. And then also has the additional bonus games, which is the console versions of those games, plus I think it's Demon's World, and then a download code for Tekipaki. No manual, but it does have this little playing guide and menu guide. And then it does have the reversible cover, which is kind of fun. It's the Zero Wing art that actually served as the slipcover art for the Retrobit Sega Genesis release of Zero Wing here a couple of years back. And so, glad to have that. And on PlayStation 4, I sort of was hemming and hawing about this, but I gave in and decided to get the Batsugan Saturn Tribute Boosted. This is the version of the console releases that is going to suffer the least from the input delay issues that these Saturn Tribute versions will be subject to. Plus it has a, from what I understand, a fairly killer soundtrack arrangement. So, you know, kind of wanted to get in on that action. There you go. It's, I guess you could call it a reversible cover, but it's just sort of a little arcade instruction sheet reproduction there as the inside or the inlay. So I grabbed that. Figure I might as well do that. We'll finish up with a couple of items I got in the mail from Limited Run. One of them is Trip World DX for the Game Boy Color. This is, of course, a colorized version of a game that was originally a Game Boy title, and if memory serves, Trip World did not receive a Western release. It was only in Japan. And so this was not available commercially in the West during the Game Boy's original lifespan. And so here we have the nice full color manual. There's your little bunny protagonist there on the front. And of course, full color, nice quality, as is usually the case. Your little insert that holds your cartridge, and then of course the cart itself. And as is typical with these kinds of releases, it does have the bump because it is Game Boy Color only, so it cannot be played in a traditional Game Boy. I will be putting time into this on my Analog Pocket, most likely, and I may also stream this on the Game Boy Player at some point. That is Trip World DX. Very classic Sunsoft game that is nice to finally have a legitimate, not incredibly expensive copy of. And what would a Game Boy Guru pickups video be without a ridiculous special edition of a shmup, right? And of course, Radiant Silver Gun. See if I can break into this without damaging the box. go. Nice little classic, simple design on the front there. And warning, no refuge right at the top. This is, of course, the recent release of the game from Livewire. Came out digitally, what, a year now or something like that? A year ago, relatively? Oh my, this is quite the convoluted setup here. We'll see about getting all this stuff out of here without completely mangling it all. We'll set that aside for the moment. This is just a little dummy Sega Saturn case with one of their reproduction cases that they use. The fun thing is this is a display case, and so inside is actually a real disc tray for your Saturn, but you put this little foam insert in there, and then you can put the Switch case in here. But I love how instead of Sega Saturn along the side there, it says "Be Praying," which of course is one of the mimetic phrases within the game that everyone says. Beatitude for gains and all of that fun stuff. And so that's always a fun little item to have. There's, let's see, what's in this little deal here? Ah, yes, a little standee setup that has some stuff. You've got your final boss here, and then here is a deal with the Craft and Radiant Silver Gun with the Radiant Sword. You know, getting ready to clap in, and then of course a background that kind of looks like the final area where you fight the final boss. And so, fun little diorama. I'll probably put that together and find a place to locate that. Then there's this Beatitude for Gains keychain. Again, one of the mimetic phrases from the game. You have a couple of other items here. Oops. You've got these fun little pins, the little hidden dogs. There's the red, blue, or blue, yellow, and red. These are, of course, the hidden items in the game that you uncover by using the lock-on area weapon. And the dogs, of course, are worth a lot of bonus points. Kind of an important secret feature of the game. CD soundtrack, of course, and this has both a chiptune arrangement and the original soundtrack from Hitoshi Sakamoto. And the chiptune arrangement is by Pepposoft. Yeah, let's break into this real quick. Let's see. Always enjoy having these CD soundtracks, as anyone who watches my channel will know. I'm a sucker for these things. So disc 1 is your chiptune arrangement. And then then disc 2 is the original soundtrack. That'll be going into the home office, which is the next room over, to get ripped to my home media server. And then you have the game itself. This is kind of a thick plastic. Just break that ever so slightly. Give me a place to start tearing this. And so this is a nice little slip box. And this has both the standard game case and this fun steel book, which of course has warning, no refuge on the back. Really nice steel book. That artwork that is in the inlay of the steel book is what was used for the vinyl soundtrack version that I have. Break into the game itself here. There's your front and back. And it does have a reversible cover. And of course, the art that's on the reversible side is the same piece that was used for the Sega Saturn release, I believe. And as with all the limited run games, you have a limited manual, no pun intended, that just has some basic information about controls and how to use the weapons and stuff. So there you go, Radiant Silvergun. Definitely glad to finally have a copy of this that didn't cost too much money. Of course, this limited edition does cost more than just your standard release, but it's not the $200 plus that you might spend on the Sega Saturn version. I still want to get that at some point, but this will do nicely for now, and certainly will be something to hold on to. So there you go. That is my February and March pickups and arrivals. I didn't say that at the top of the video, but yeah, that should be everything February and March. Pretty sure that's February and March. I think I already did January. If not, I'll correct it in the thumbnail. But anyway, what do you guys think? What stuff here would you want to play right away? What stuff would you be most excited about? How many of you were even aware that Limited Run had done a print of this updated version of Trip World? And would you be interested in playing the game? You know, what stuff on the 360, PSP, PS4, etc. would you want to play? How many of you collect and enjoy these Xbox Magazine DVDs or game demo discs? You know, are these something that you enjoy? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing so you can see more of my videos in your YouTube feed. And as always, thank you for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.